Hey Instagram, how's it going? It's me, happy Friday. I hope you're all keeping well. I'm frozen, I can't seem to get warm. Winter has hit. I'm like an old one, well, we won't mention that now. The old one. Birthday coming, that's where that's coming from. I have the old blanket on my knees. I feel very nurtured and like freezing. So the old blanket on the knees is a great one. Anyway, I hope you're not as cold as I am. But this will heat me up. I'm excited about today's call, gang. Today we're talking to a Cork onion, or a Cork onion, I like to say. And you'll notice from this call, when I talk to Hilary Quinn from Proximo Design, my accent is going to go apeshit. I'm going to be singing. There's going to be likes, girl. Oh, I love when that happens. I love talking to Cork people. I miss Cork. So I'm excited to talk to Hilary today. We're going to talk all about how to get found on the internet. Hilary specialises in SEO and web design, and I've worked with Hilary on different projects before when I had the marketplace. I was thinking about all the people that run marketplaces and everyone out there that's pushing today, you know, Green Friday and Black Friday, and however you're positioning yourself, whatever works for your business, run with it and do it well. And I remember last year we were in the midst of that, and it's kind of nice not to be in it, to be honest with you, having other businesses on top of it. And business is all about curating your to-do list. I was just talking to my husband about this earlier today. It's that curation of what you're doing, when you're doing it, and lining it up that it makes sense to the overall. And I want to wish everybody a really great Christmas push. Now we're heading in, the toy show is tonight, we're heading into Christmas mania after, I think it'll hit tomorrow. And today, of course, it's Black Friday and Green Friday, and I would urge everybody watching this, even if you could just make one purchase from a local business, an art business, a jewelry maker, a photographer, a design person, like, you know, there are so many really hardworking, passionate people that are trying so beautifully to bring their products and services to the world. And if we keep paying attention to where we're spending our money, I know and realize that, you know, you can't buy everything, and because you might have children asking for a specific thing, or you just can't find the thing you need, and that's okay. I think there should be no judgment. I believe if we all just make a conscious effort of choosing at least one or two purchases from local producers, Irish based makers and artists for this season, it makes a huge difference to the economy and to people's lives. So it's just paying attention to where we press buy or where we go to buy our stuff. So just pay attention to that this year, gang, and every little helps. And if you think, sure, it doesn't apply to me, sure, I'll leave it to other people. Sure, if everyone had that attitude, we'd get nowhere. Anyway, happy Green Friday, and I hope you all sell lots of stuff today, and I wish specifically MarketStreet.ie all the best with her business as well, because I know how difficult it is to run a marketplace business. So I wish MarketStreet.ie huge success today as well. We're working hard with her. Okay, so how to get found on the internet. That's the topic of today, gang. And we're going to bring on Hilary from Proximo Web Design. Give her some love over on Instagram, on her profile there. I'm dying to get Hilary in there now. I have to find her. Where is she? Hilary! Well, there she is. I see her there now. Hang on there now, and I'll get her in, and we'll have a bit of coffee. I can't wait to talk to Hilary. She's so knowledgeable about SEO stuff, and she'll explain all that good stuff. Hey, Hilary.
Hi.
How's
You gotta
it
talk,
going?
Tara.
Jeannie.
Twinsies.
Hear me now, look.
Twins.
Shooting off to the moon with it.
I thought that was so
That's so
funny.
We've the same
I
vibe
know.
today.
And the same accent. Twins.
I have to put on the old turtleneck there. I'm frozen, girl. I'm like an
My
old one.
husband is frozen and the heat belting out of, he's got two rads kind of around him and the
Strapped
heat is
onto
like
him.
belting out now and I'm like, I don't know how he sticks the heat, but yeah.
Happy days, I'd be with him now. And my husband's different then. He's outside in shorts, like going, what? You're mad, you're cold.
See,
And,
my husband was complaining about the cold today and he had shorts on and I was like,
there's something wrong there, Hilary. So we're going to talk about your speciality today, Hilary, because I know how knowledgeable you are and how you're so up for sharing the knowledge as well and for helping people. I know that you really care about other businesses and making sure people know these things, because it's a lot of little things that people don't know about that they can apply to their businesses. So I'll let you first, maybe just to kind of introduce you and what the feck is SEO? Like, a lot of people get very nervous when we talk about this stuff.
yeah.
Can you
It can sound
explain?
very technical. I think that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my name's Hilary Quinn. I am based in Cork, as Tara mentioned. I'm a web designer that specializes in SEO for over 14 years. So I would have started training in 2007. So basically, when I started off in web design, what I had noticed when you very first start dabbling in the skill itself, I started feeling, what's the point in launching a website if nobody sees it? Nobody comes to it. Now, this would have been pre-social media, so at least now you can send a certain amount of traffic from social media, maybe. But at the time, the only real source of traffic was Google. So this is something to do with analytics and just knowing where your traffic is coming from to your website as well, if you have one. So even recently I'm working with a client and we're just taking a look at even the social traffic versus the organic traffic coming in from Google. And I
Hilary,
think,
can you explain organic traffic there now? What does that mean? Because I know
yeah,
people are going, what is that like?
yeah. So when you search something in Google,
Yeah.
you'll see at the top things that are kind of marked ads. And they might kind of just be the full above the fold is what it would normally take up. And as you start scrolling, you start seeing other results that aren't marked as ads. So the top kind of ones there that come up, they're pay per click. So you have to set up an account with Google AdWords if you want to appear there. And then in that account, you put in your keywords that you want to appear for, and then you have to pay per click. So that can be, it's a variable price then depending how many people are kind of vying for the click. So it can go up and down. Yeah. So then as you scroll, you'll see what we call organic search results. So it just means that you're not paying to be on that page.
Okay.
So anything that appears there, it's happening organically. Why is it appearing there? It's because it was very relevant to the user's search. So whatever they searched, that page was very relevant to it. Google considered that it was, a high quality page, let's say. That it was relevant to the search, that it was a high quality page, and it was something that was going to kind of add to their experience of Google. So what I do with small businesses is, this is a way of running a small business and getting the most out of your website without being trapped in a cycle of having to feed a budget into Google Ads every single week, every single month, fretting over the cost per click. You might see one day that you went in and you were like, oh my God, I'm after paying like €6 for one click. What the hell? Like, even if they made a purchase, maybe I don't make any money on that. And it's just not, when it's a small business, it's just not really viable if that's the only way that you're able to appear in search, is that you constantly have to be paying for it. So this is a way that you can actually work on your website to let Google know that I am a high quality website with high quality content, and I'm targeting searches that your customers are doing. So Google just wants its customers to have the best experience as well. So you're kind of approaching it from, I'm a very high quality page and you really should be showing me on page one, because if you do, the people who searched and then came into my page will be super happy with the page that they came in on. And that's all Google wants to know.
Okay. How do you
So,
do that?
yeah.
I know we'd be here for 8 hours, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like and it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because like, it's the same with social media. You know, you're putting all the best content out, and you're getting that attention, and then when people click through to the website, there's a big fall off, and people are just staying on your social, but the website doesn't convert for you because you're, you know, it's not doing that job. It's not giving the experience or the speed. I find, especially for creatives, Hillary, I don't know if you see this a lot, because there's so many beautiful images being used. They take up so much space that slows down the site. People drop off straight away, don't they? So is it all those kind of, it's not just keywords full stop, there's a load of different things, is there?
There is work to it, but it's so worth it. So if
Yeah.
people can get to grips with this, so what I'm going to do, Tara, I
Yeah.
have 5 tips here, okay?
Brilliant.
And rather than people having to take notes, I'm going to publish these as a blog today.
Amazing.
I couldn't tell you what time it'll be now because I'll probably have lunch and stuff, but at some point today.
Melt from all the heat, like.
If people want to just follow me, I'll put the link in my Instagram bio and I'll do it today. Before 5 p.m., there'll be a link there and it'll have all the 5 tips, right?
Brilliant. Brilliant. Love it.
So we'll just get into the first one anyway, okay? So the first thing you need to know is what's going on in Google search. So you just need data. So you need to know, is my website indexed in Google? And if it is every page indexed? Or maybe they've only just indexed like my homepage and one other page. Maybe all my pages aren't even indexed. Maybe something is occurring in Search Console that's kind of an error, that this is why they won't come in and tackle other pages, or something is going on that's kind of wrong, but you've no information of how to fix anything until you set up your website in what's called Google Search Console.
Okay.
Google Search Console is completely free and it's provided by Google, and you can set it up. The easiest way to set it up is with the meta tag. If you're working with, and I think people don't make enough use of this, if you're working with a hosted provider like Wix or Shopify or whoever, Squarespace, whatever, use their support system, because people get, I don't know what it is. I think it's an Irish thing of being like really polite and not wanting to bother people or something.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, I can set up my thing in Search Console and I have the meta tag. Now, how do I insert that and how do I do this?
Yeah.
Get on, create a support ticket with Shopify, with Wix, with Squarespace, and say, here's my meta tag. I'll just paste it in here. Either you insert it for me, or you tell me the page that's going to give me the guides of this is how I can insert that on my website.
Okay.
If you can't find it easily in their system.
What's a meta tag then, Hillary? Is that just like a label on the page to get it coming up on Google, is it?
Yeah, so they'll when you try and set this up, it'll generate a meta tag and you'll copy that, and it just has, it's like a string of text, but it'll have 2 pointy brackets on each end.
Yeah.
So you're kind of starting at a point and you're ending at a point.
Yeah.
So you're just taking that whole thing then, and that's pasted into a page on the website, like a template that might be outputting all of the code. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit technical, but again, if you're not technically minded, just get your little tag, go in and create a support ticket, or maybe you have a web designer as well. Yeah, if you have a web designer, send them on the meta tag and say, hey, I just need this inserted on the website. They'll know what to do with it.
Okay.
But yeah, make use of that's what they're there for. And I've used Shopify support and they're incredible. They're like on the ball, and I'm sure the other ones are as well. So that's setting up Google Search Console, and this is a way that you can see, you can see what pages are indexed or if they're not, but you can also see what query somebody used in Google that then came in onto your website. Okay. So what did somebody search in Google that then resulted in a click into my website? And they have a tab called Performance, and you can actually look then at, okay, which are the pages that brought in the most clicks from Google? Which are the queries that brought in the most clicks from Google? And
so these are the questions people could have been asking in how to find a brilliant web designer. And
exactly.
Then your page is going to come up, right?
I hope so. Yeah, I'll be Googling that now. Yeah, exactly. That'd be the kind of thing that you'll come up for. And then there's actually, this is what's really cool as well. You can track your actual ranking in Google with Google Search Console. So you'll see a kind of a tick box in the performance tab that's kind of to do with ranking or position. So if you tick that, at the top, it'll just show you a new orange line that actually shows you kind of your average ranking. So if you see any kind of major, you know, if you're kind of like, oh yeah, there's my orange ranking thing and it's looking quite steady and quite whatever. But if you kind of see that orange line and then suddenly it's after just plummeting or something and then it's kind of stayed down here, well, something must have happened around this point of time. So you can just track, you know, your actual ranking. But if you scroll the page when you have that selected, it'll show you what position you appeared in Google search, represented by a number, for whatever query was put in. So for example, if I have one like just Proximo web design, my position on that is 1.3 if I take a look, which makes sense because it's a brand and it should be the first. Yeah, it should be the first kind of result. And then you'll see the numbers going down from there. So you'll have like, you know, position 2, 3, whatever, and they'll have a dot sometimes after them just to be accurate. Typically, we kind of talk about the first page being maybe 10 organic results. And then, so you'd be looking at like positions 1 to 10, and then anything after that is probably on page 2. So what you can do is look for those ones that are kind of on like, maybe they're showing 14 or something like that. That's something now that you could work on in order to just lift it up 4 points or 5 points to shift it onto page 1.
Okay.
So you can find opportunities, but you can only know that the opportunity is there really with Google Search Console.
That's your first kind of
you've got to set it up.
Research piece of knowing where you are and what are the opportunities. You have to know where you are first. Right?
Exactly.
That's the first touch point. Hilary.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you'll have the things that you're already on page 1 for. That's great. And then you just want to see, oh, there's ones that I'm so close to page 1, but I'm not quite. So what can I do on that page to just like give me that little kind of 2 places or 3 places? Exactly. So that's the first tip. The second tip is to check your website's page speed. You can actually just Google. Again, there's a free tool with Google for this. It's called the Pagespeed Insights Tester. So if you just search that, you'll actually see it coming up. There was a page experience ranking update this year with Google, and it completed at around August 2021. So for your, you know, community, people that saw a drop off around kind of August 2021, if you can see that, let's say you set up Google Search Console and everything was doing fine, no major change was made to your website, and you can see something happening maybe around August, it could be the case that you were hit by this particular update. But again, it's called a page experience ranking update, and they actually included page experience data now in Search Console in order to help you to kind of recover from anything that you might have been impacted from there. So again, we're going back to one, which is you need Search Console. That'll then tell you what your page experience was. And then you can kind of go, okay, maybe I've been hit by something there and I need to look at things on my website that might not be performing as well as they should be.
So just to clarify that, Hilary, the page experience almost data is Google, like when you talked at the start of this, you were saying like Google ranks based on the experience that people have on each page, and you know, they want people to be happy, right? So is that what that is? It's almost like a scoring system for how good your experience is on the page? Okay,
very much so. Now it's very linked to page speed, because page speed is kind of part of our user experience. So obviously if a page is kind of taking way too long to load, it's a poor user experience and we're probably going to bounce off the page. We're very impatient these days, like we're not going to wait around.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, and another thing that can affect it actually that I found with the client, so I normally work in kind of 6-month stints with people. So I had signed off and they just managed it in-house maybe for 2 months, and then they brought me back. So I came back in and I checked it straight away in Search Console, just, see what happened in the past 2 months. And their page experience had literally, like the thing I was talking about earlier,
What?
they had 100% lovely green color and everything in Search
Yeah.
Console. So it was at 100, 100, 100, 100. Literally started dropping pages from the page experience, like good page experience, right down into poor, and it literally flatlined. So I looked at the website to see what had happened, and the only thing that had happened when I was gone was that they had installed a pop-up.
Ah,
And it was kind of one of these pop-ups for, like, probably subscribe to the email, or,
yeah.
one of these. And the pop-up was triggering on every single page.
Ah,
It was triggering on just visiting the page.
ah,
The immediate time that you visited it, the pop-up came up.
yeah.
And it was triggering on mobile as well. And on mobile, they can be a bit tricky on mobile, because sometimes people can't find their way out of it on mobile. It has to be so, so clear how you can close the pop-up to get back to the page.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, I'd love to remove the pop-up if I would have the permission to. And they said, do what you want. So I was like,
Yeah.
brilliant. So I was like, that's gone.
Okay.
um,
Okay.
and
So
lo and behold,
would you say no to pop-ups, Hilary?
you're going to get different opinions on this in
Yeah.
my community, because some people will say there's a right way and a wrong way to do a pop-up,
Yeah.
and they would argue that there's a right way to do it, like, only if somebody is leaving the website.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have it coming up at all on mobile, depending.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm against them.
Yeah.
I
Okay, that's
don't
interesting.
think there's a good way to do a pop-up.
Okay.
So I rather put, if I want somebody to subscribe to the email, I rather just put the subscription onto the physical page,
Okay.
whether it's at the top or the bottom or whatever. So if it was a blog now or something, you might kind of have like, okay, here's my blog. And then I actually just put the form at the bottom of the blog, and they can sign up from there without a pop-up.
Okay. Okay.
I have seen a very interesting one that I hadn't seen before. And I don't know what does this, but I have seen a very interesting one where it's not a pop-up, but if you scroll to where the form is, it just darkens the rest of the page so that
Ah,
the kind of form stands out, but it's actually
okay.
not, because so if you continue to scroll, it goes away. And I
Lovely.
thought that was a cute way, and I'd love to see more things like that maybe coming out, and they could experiment then and see, okay, are these okay for usability, and they're not kind of frightening people off or making people bounce off the website.
And do you think that is the reason why you don't like them, is that people just generally don't like pop-ups?
Yeah, like the history of pop-ups is poor.
Yeah.
They kind of look nicer nowadays because you have, a nice kind of, the page is darkened behind it or whatever. But
Yeah.
if you go back in time, people would have triggered maybe 4 or 5 pop-ups per page in order.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to read a page and one gets triggered and you have to close it, and then you're trying to read more in another one and you close it.
So there's a negative kind of link with it, and subconsciously perhaps.
Yeah, the web designers just wiped them out. So it was a
Okay, that's so
concerted effort,
interesting. Wow.
over the years, like, that it was just awful user experience, but user experience wouldn't have even been a thing back then, really.
Yeah.
So as user experience came up, pop-ups went away,
Damn.
because the
Oh,
people that
that's
were
so
interested in user experience just said, no, we can't. They're absolutely destroying the user experience. So
okay, that's so interesting. I pop up some page and going, just go
yeah.
back and take them on it.
Yeah.
Bamboo Baby, you're so good. I see you in the comments there. She's or he or she. I don't know if you're he or she. We'll call you a baby for now. They're just explaining what bounce is.
Oh
Bounce is
yes.
someone leaving your website from the same page they came in on. I'm so
Thank
happy
you,
that you're
Bamboo
in there
Baby.
doing that. I love that.
Bamboobaby.ie, well done.
Yeah, brilliant, because it's so interesting, Hilary, isn't it? And I talk about this all the time in the factory, that as whatever industry you're in, the jargon and the thing that we talk about all the time is just like bread and butter
Yeah.
language.
And you
And
know what?
I'm
You don't
so happy.
realize how much you know then either, because
That's right.
you kind of have a presumption that you know less than you do. And actually you go, God, when you think about it, going way back to knowing nothing,
Yes.
it's a huge amount. Yeah.
That's right. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Thanks
for that, Bamboo Baby.
Thank you.
Kiki says down with pop-ups.
Oh
I
yeah.
Oh,
I see Gosha as well. Hi Gosha. Freak over design.
And Louise says, hey Louise. Louise says, yikes, all my subscribers are via pop-up. So that's interesting.
Yeah, now I will say there are people like me that would say, Hillary, like this is the worst advice ever. They can be done the right
Yeah,
way. But you
yeah,
see,
yeah.
I just remain to be convinced. But yeah, people do say, and just, if you're going to kind of use them, then do it the right way. It
If you
should
decide
never
to go down
be
that route,
exactly. It should
that's so
never be
interesting.
the second someone comes in and visits a
Yeah,
page. There should be some kind of little delay on it.
yes,
It really should be only if somebody is exiting your page and you can track that
and not
that exit.
bombard them with it. But
Exactly.
most of definitely the templated providers now, and even WordPress, have those facilities on pop-ups that you can
Yeah,
really customize them to what the person is doing on the site, which is brilliant compared to years ago where you're just bombarded with
exactly.
them.
Yeah.
Takeover Design says, yeah, pop-ups are the worst. So it's
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Gosha. Hi.
I must do a poll actually after this to see, are you in favor, do you like them or not? Just from not even running a business, but actually on the other side, when you do land on a page, does it really piss you off or not? I'd
Yeah.
be interested in that, so you might
And
run a
on
poll.
mobile, you do kind of have to consider then it's kind of okay on desktop, you've loads of space
Yeah,
and you can really see that X where you can close
yeah,
it and you can just close it and then maybe you want it to continue around the website.
yeah,
But you have to kind of look at it on mobile, even just yourself, or
yeah.
even give it to your mother and be like, hey,
Is that
mom,
annoying?
can you get
Yeah,
out of this? Show me how to close this and go back to
yes,
the page. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, 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 yeah. No, definitely,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Um, and if your mom is kind of going, I can't get out of this pop-up to get back to the page,
forget
then
it.
you have an issue. Yeah, and it's on mobile. You really have to just take a look at that.
So
Um,
just while we're on pop-ups there, Hillary, before you go on to your next
yeah.
point, Bamboo Baby says, I just feel really weird saying that. What do you think, when I know your name, sorry. What do you think of pop-ups at the checkout process for upselling to add-on items?
Again, I would tend to put something physically on the page if I want to
Yeah,
do that,
yeah,
rather than so maybe just tack it onto the bottom, well, like leaving them have the page that they're on,
yeah.
but kind of putting at the bottom, oh, would you also be interested in this, or this?
Or
And you can just add them
suggested,
in.
yes,
Yeah, but
yeah.
actually print it onto the page rather than popping up. Because again, I know my poor mum, she's probably better at like using computers than I am,
It's like, why
but
did you use me as an
I
example?
know she's amazing. She's on Zoom the whole time, like, but
Yeah,
you have to think like, okay, if my mom
yeah,
was using this, sorry, mom, you're great at computers. Would she kind of go, oh Jesus, I was trying to check something out. Then this
yeah.
pop-up came up. I didn't know how to get out of it, and so I just abandoned my shopping cart.
Yes. And that's,
It's these kinds of
you
things
always have
like,
to think of the worst case scenario, don't you? That like
yeah,
any bit of, because people now, especially now, we're so impatient and we want results yesterday. Anything that comes in front of that gives people the opportunity to get annoyed, they'll bounce off or they'll leave and go somewhere else. It's that volatile, isn't it,
yeah, and
Hillary?
they might not be paying attention, so they just think, oh, my shopping cart disappeared there. Why did that happen?
Yeah,
They might
yeah.
try and click back then, and then they kind of get frustrated and go, oh, their thing didn't
I just
work at
want to
all.
Pinterest there for a while and deal with that.
I'm gonna
What
have a
does that
cup of
do?
tea and just let my phone away for a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just the thing of like, just think about, the user experience of it.
yeah,
How are you doing it? And a lot of thought needs to be put into, if you feel that you are getting enough benefit that you're thinking, I do want to use it, then a lot of thought needs to go into it, that
yeah,
the user experience is still kind of maintained to the highest standard. And
yeah,
if it can't, you just have to think, okay, if I don't use the pop-up and I put them like underneath the shopping cart, can I still convert people from there? Or will I
yeah.
do a test and see, okay,
Test. I was
if I
going to
do
say.
that,
Mm.
maybe it still works with
Yeah,
having it underneath, and
yeah.
maybe my abandoned shopping cart rate goes down. You never know.
Yeah. Yes. And it's
Um,
all about, I love that you said that, Hillary.
yeah,
It's all testing with everything you do. It's test, 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 test.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
never, I'll just do it and now it'll go out there and sure it'll work. Like you have to know by testing something and looking at the numbers.
You do,
It's
you
all
do.
important. Yeah.
And it's something that I do love this about the Google Search Console, as we were saying, for
Yeah.
people to set up, because
Yeah.
it has the page experience built into the console now.
Yeah.
you can actually see. So as I said, like, you know, when I removed that, all they had done was put in a pop-up. Now it was done poorly, so I'll give the people who like them that, okay?
Yeah.
The second it was removed, it was the only change that I made. I made no other change because I was curious, if this is the only change I make, is this what
Will,
was causing it, like? And it
yeah.
came straight back
Oh,
up.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that is something, it
Which will
affects.
affect your ranking then as well. Like, of
Exactly. It's going
course.
to affect your ranking. And why is it affecting your
Mm.
ranking? It's because Google considers that the page experience was poor for
Ah,
users.
okay.
And they don't want to send people from their search engine into a website that provided poor user experience and the person had to bounce back out and kind of continue searching.
Gotcha.
They actually want to give people the right results that they're going to stay on the page and, you know, enjoy the experience essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
Brilliant.
so yeah,
So,
they're trying to look after their customers from their
of
point of view,
course.
you know? Yeah.
Of course. So there's Google Console and then there's the speed of the site. So you're saying, you know, check the speed of the site. And for anyone that's just joined us, or if you're watching the replay, Hillary's going to drop a checklist in her bio, in her Instagram bio, to get all this information. So if you're going, I won't remember this, she'll have a checklisty thingy that you can grab over there after this.
Yeah, I'm going to put it into a blog and you can just bookmark the blog and go back to it whenever you want. Yeah.
Perfect.
Throw it into your toolbar, you know, and I'd feel very special. Tell me if you did that.
Yeah.
Page speed is part of page experience as well. So pop-ups is one kind of part of it, but page speed is another part of it. And as I said, there's a free tester for that. So if you just search like Google page speed tester, you'll actually see it come up, and you can put in any URLs that you want to check. So the important URLs that you want to check, and you'll see results underneath. But what I love about the results in the PageSpeed Insights Tester, which is free, is that they actually give you tips on how to speed it up, and they'll know when you put it through if it's a WordPress website, for example. And they'll actually give you, then they'll go, oh, you have a WordPress website, this is slow, these are the places you can go to improve your WordPress. So they actually even help you to know what plugins might work to speed up your website, and they kind of automatically show you that. So I think it's quite usable for people even kind of beginning at this or just checking a few things. Even if they just give you a plugin that looks good, and maybe you already have a web development company looking after things, and you can just go, hey lads, I just checked my page speed. It wasn't great, but in the results I saw that, you know, they were saying if I put in this plugin, it might speed things up. Would you be able to do that or whatever, you know? Get a bit of help with it. It's worth doing. The thing is, we're satisfying for Google. Yes, we're satisfying so that we can come up organically in the search results and get some free traffic. But you're also satisfying for your users. So there's a lovely crossover there.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that information.
Brilliant.
So another thing you can do that's very simple, and you could do this yourself, if you have large images that you're uploading to your website, there are online image compression tools. So again, you just want to Google it and you'll find online kind of image compression is what you're looking for. And let's say you're doing a blog now and you have like a nice kind of a big image, and maybe you already published the blog, and because you listened today, you put your blog through the PageSpeed Insights thing and you go, oh God, it's not great in PageSpeed Insights. One thing you can do straight away is get that image, find an online image compression tool. You can run it through it and it'll kind of spit out a download of what you uploaded. Save that, go back into your blog, edit it, and put in this compressed image instead of the one that you had that was uncompressed. Now go back to the PageSpeed Insights tester and just give it another test. And you should see an immediate improvement just even from that. Because I think what happens is that we kind of presume that, you know, the image is already compressed on the server when we upload it by whatever service we're using. But a lot of times they're not compressing it enough for, you know, let's say Google standards anyway. So that's just something you can do DIY style, and you should see immediate results with that. And again, it's testing. You can put it through before you do it, put it through after, see what the difference is. And hopefully you would see a difference.
Brilliant. Because I know a lot of, obviously with the biscuit community, And there's a lot of, like, Louise is an amazing photographer, and I know her, you know, especially when you're into photography, you have big files like that look amazing and you're so happy with them, but the speed doesn't like them. And so that's a great solution to that, the compression tools. I love
Yeah, and
that.
it can kill photographers' hearts, and I understand that as well.
Yeah.
You know, to have to degrade the quality like to this, but you just have to have in your head like this isn't print. You know, if this was print, I could go all out and I could have a huge best quality image.
Yeah.
You know, this is web, and sometimes people aren't on Wi-Fi and they're on their phone and they're on their
Yeah.
mobile data. They might even be in a rural area that the
Yeah.
mobile data is terrible, and they've kind of gone to visit, and it's almost like the old days where you have
With
like
the
a
roundy
line and a
thing.
line and a line. Yeah.
I just go and put on a wash there and peel the potatoes, and I'll come back then and like
That's it, exactly. And then the other side of that is that even though the image quality mightn't be great,
Yeah.
who's going to notice on mobile? Nobody.
Yeah.
Because it's gone down to such a small size that it's going to look good quality to the eye, even though you as a photographer would be thinking, oh God, it's like, you know, it's awful. But actually, to the eye, it's going to look absolutely fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. Louise actually asked in the comment, thanks Louise, in the comments, is it also important to SEO the images? Great question, I love that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the actual file name of images, that's something that used to matter years ago, and it used to be this like conspiracy theory, and we've loads of them in SEO. Where people would go, oh, the file name is really important, and people would be like, oh, I hate when people, they just don't know what they're talking about. Actually, nowadays, it turns out the file name is important.
It is.
So yeah, so naming your image. So if I was web designer at work or something, so I'd probably go like web-designer-at-work.jpg, something like that. There's also alt text that you put into your images, and you'll see that in all of the, no matter what system you're using, whether it's WordPress or Wix or Shopify or anything, they'll have something there that's like, do you want to add alt text? And that text is used both by Google and by blind people who are navigating the internet. Now, the strict rule is you're really using the alt text for people with disabilities, and it should describe the actual image. But you do also want to put keywords in there for Google. So there's kind of a happy medium here between the two. So think of a blind person that landed in on your website, and they'd feel so good to actually have the thing like, here's my picture of Tara sitting in the chair with a pink polo neck. But from the SEO point of view, when Google's reading it, I might want people to know that like Tara's like
business mentor.
So I might go Tara business mentor sitting in a chair with a pink.
So you're just kind of
it's
fluffing
just like,
it. You're adding that extra bit to serve the keywords, but also to the purpose of the alt text, which Claire, who's watching, would be very happy to hear, because she works all around, you know, giving access to art for visually impaired people. So this is a great thing to pop in there. You're serving both, which is a smart way of doing it.
Yeah, like, because before, Tara, when we're trying to kind of game the system a bit and we're trying to just satisfy for Google all the time, I might just go Tara business mentor Ireland or whatever, and I'm like, great, that's all my keywords for Google. But that didn't describe the image to blind people at all. They don't know what they're looking at. They could be looking at a picture of your hand. Like they don't, you know, like you haven't actually described it. So just keep the happy medium, you know, have your keywords, but make sure, like, think of it like if I was a blind person now and I actually couldn't see this, what would I like to know? Do you know? Describe what you're seeing. Yeah, I love that. So that is important.
Purpose.
Exactly. We try not to, these days we try not to game the system and keep it honest with Google. So you're always satisfying from nearly two things at the same time. So these are, I'll give you tips 3 and 4 together. Because they are related as well, and I'm sure you've heard this already as well, Tara. So this is about your page titles and your meta descriptions. So you'll already be used to seeing these in search, but you mightn't have known what they were called. So when you search and you see those blue links, the actual link, the text in the blue link that you click on is usually coming from your page title, and the text that's underneath that blue link is coming from what's called your meta description. Now, meta descriptions, going back in history again, they used to be very important for keywords. So we almost used to like sometimes mimic the keywords in the page title and the meta, because we'd be like, oh, if we give them in the meta as well, they might get double the whammy. Nowadays, the meta has been kind of downgraded, so it is not as important for keywords, which actually is very freeing, because it means that you can create your page title with your keywords and everything on what the page is on and what you want to come up for in Google search results. But then your meta can actually be something that's just incentivizing the click. So like in the same way, if you were doing an ad now and you had a clickable thing in your ad that you were paying for, and then you had enough space for a little bit of ad copy underneath, and the ad copy is like, I'm telling people why should they click on that button. So that's your meta these days.
Brilliant. Okay.
So I always include stuff like, I have customers that have like, maybe if it's €5 delivery to anywhere in Ireland, or if it's maybe free delivery in Ireland for orders over, you know, €40 or something like that. Put that into your meta description, because that is definitely inviting someone, especially if you're going for Irish search results, people in Ireland. They'll kind of, you know, scan through, and if they see one that's like, oh, cool, like I do want to order more than 40 because I'm getting Christmas presents, and they have free delivery in Ireland. And it also kind of lets me know that you're potentially posting from Ireland to Ireland, which could be very inviting this Christmas, I think, with, you know, Brexit and
and all those costs,
the unmentionables, all the world things that are going on at the moment. So
that's good to know, though, because I know that people struggle with that, Hilary. They get in there and they're like, oh, header,
what do you put?
I put the header, then meta, do I just lob loads of keywords in there? What do I put? So this is great. It's almost like a snippet of your unique selling point for that particular product or service that you're anchoring on the front end. Like, that's really great. I love that. Actually, Louise says, just on the photo file name, just going quickly back to that, Hilary, is it important to upload the file with the name description of image, or is it okay to do it once it's on the website?
I would probably just right click and see what is your website renaming the image for some reason, and you might find that out by just right clicking on the image when you're on your website, like normally. And if you kind of inspect that, or it might say open the image in a new tab, and you just look at the URL at the top, you should be able to see the actual name of the image there then. So this depends on your CMS and whether they kind of actively rename the image.
What CMS?
Content management system.
Brand.
So that would be WordPress now or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm not sure. It depends on your CMS. So I would just say kind of check it, and it doesn't matter. Like if you didn't have the name, if you go back in and you can edit the name, and then you can see that when it's being output and you open it in a new tab, that the new one is coming up. For the actual path to the image, that's all good then.
So Louise, you can do it now. If you want to go back in, you can go in and rename them now. It won't make a difference to Google. Brilliant. Bamboo Baby is dropping off and she's saying thanks a million for your help. Bye-bye. Bamboo Baby. Cool. So that's great. So it's the headline and the meta description. The headline, use the meta as a pointer to click the headline.
Exactly. Use it to incentivize that click. Why should I click on your link as opposed to the other 10 or whatever amount of results I have there on the first page? So that's, and there is a bit of work that goes into page titles, but you could probably do a whole session on just that as well, Tara. So I think that's enough for people for just that. They probably know themselves what searches they want to come up for the page title. So just Google them even and see. You can see at the bottom of the page, if you Google something, and you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see like related searches. So you can even pick some stuff up from there in the related searches, or you can start clicking into them and see what else is generated at the bottom. You can also see what's in People Also Ask, which would be like frequently asked questions around something that you had Googled. So even just using your own browser, you can just Google stuff, see what's coming up, look at the related searches, and then go, okay, I think a good page title might be this, or whatever it might be. Brilliant. There's a lot you can do by just Googling it yourself. So
Yeah.
So I would advise that. So the fifth and last tip, which is going to be in my blog later, whoop. um, so this is to structure the content on your page. Now, this is a huge topic, and if I was to go technical with this, I could probably do like a day-long thing on how
Yeah.
to structure the content on your page. But in the simplest sense, what you want to avoid for Google purposes, but also for user purposes. So again, we have this crossover, right? So Google wants its users to have a good experience, and so do you. But if you satisfy for your user experience, Google will follow along. So you're satisfying, you'll get organic traffic and you'll have happier users, even if they never came in through Google. So that's the upside of all this. So you want to avoid thin content. So thin content over time, if Google is coming to visit pages on your website, and Google has an open mind because it doesn't know at the start, it's just visiting pages. So it's got an open mind as to the quality of your content and everything. But if it kind of consistently starts to see, oh, there's something published here now and it has a heading and it has, one paragraph of text or two paragraphs, and then it kind of comes back and finds something else and it's kind of the same. And now it starts to find a pattern of what we would call thin content. Google will kind of think, okay, well, that's grand, like thin content, okay, fair enough, but I'm not going to consider you a high quality website that's going to be returned on page one necessarily with this type of content, because they want to see something, more engaging, that their users are going to actually spend time on the page. And so that can just be something to be aware of and try and avoid thin content.
Would blogs solve that, Hilary? Would blogging like once a week or once a month, you have like a good sturdy blog? Like
blogging is the absolute best.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling for blog titles, literally just use people also ask. And if you can feed into those things in Google, and they're just displaying them there, you don't need any third-party software or pay for any tool or anything. You can just Google what your product or your service is.
Yeah.
And if it triggers, sometimes it does trigger people also ask, sometimes it doesn't. So try a couple of times and see, is there a search there that triggers people also ask? And then make a note of those and see, can I write a blog?
Tell people, what is that, a website? Is it an app? What is that?
That's literally in Google. So like it actually comes up in search results. Yeah. In Google itself. And it kind of appears, it has a heading called people also ask, and then it has each might have like 4 or 5 or something like that, and it's got a little arrow. And then you can click the arrow and it'll kind of expand each one. But if you go down to the end of people also ask and you expand, if you expand a few of them, it'll start showing you more. So you might have initially started off with 4 and then you start clicking into them, and now it'll show you 10 and then it'll show you 15. So you have 15 blog titles there straight away.
Perfect.
And it's a brilliant way because they're just providing us that data. Like
of
for free. Of what people are literally searching, in a question format. And I think a question format is lovely for a blog as well. Because it's just easier to write. Because it's like somebody was asking a question about something that I know about. And so straight away you have the answer. You can just write your blog around that. Now again, you want to make it like a nice long, well-structured blog. But I love people also ask is the best thing ever. So definitely make use of that. So the structure on your page, then if you're going to use this blog to kind of bring people in and show Google that you have high quality content, and maybe it'll compensate for some otherwise thin content on other pages. And also you can send traffic from the blog to those other pages. So now you're talking about creating something that's going to be a lead magnet that you can put a little button, or you can internally link certain words that if they want to click on it, they'll actually go into a page where they can make a purchase, or they can order a service, or whatever you're doing with your business. And that's a great technique to kind of lift up your whole website using the blog. So your aim is to not make it sparse, avoid thin content, kind of cover blogging a little bit. You're trying to keep people engaged as long as possible on the page. And then to do with structure, the technicality of it is to use headings, use bullet points, use strong, like bold, use italics, internally link, from whatever you've created into other pages on your website, so they can even stay, not just are you trying to keep them on that page for longer, but try and keep them on your website for longer and feed them through. You could feed them from that blog into other blogs. You could feed them from that blog into product pages.
Yeah.
You could feed them from that blog into another blog that then fed them into a product page.
Yeah. You're
So,
making this, it's almost like a train with all the different carriages. You know, that you want them to buy the coffee at the end carriage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's, yeah, you're just kind of going like, I have a lovely website. I'm really I'm helpful. I'm helping you with whatever your query was. And I can help you even more over here. And then they might read that. And then you're kind of like, well, if you wanted to like go back here and purchase something, I wouldn't be adverse to it. Yeah. So, so yeah, just structure it like the way you'd structure any essay or anything that you were trying to write, that you're using bold, you're using italic. The internet's no different to whether I was writing an essay for school, even though I would have handwritten it. So I don't know about doing bold for that, but yeah, you want to structure it with heading, subheadings, bullets, bold, italic, internal linking. Think that I'm keeping people on my page, but I'm also keeping people on my website. And I can give them a journey.
External links then, Hilary, as well?
Yeah, you can link in externally, no problem with that. Some people like to put what's called no follow on those links. That just means that no SEO juice would pass from your website to whoever you linked out to.
Okay.
It's not necessary in the majority of cases. They have certain structures for links, like if somebody paid you to put a link to their website on your website, then there's special HTML that you include to indicate that that is a paid link and not a natural link. But I don't think your community would probably be entering into that, but if they did, get on to me and I can send you code for that, because there are different ways to kind of mark that, just to stay on the good side of Google, which is what we always want to do.
Brilliant. Needle Sketches says, you must do this again in slow motion.
Oh!
The information is wonderful, but some of it is going over my head. That's normal, actually. I am looking forward to the blog too. Thank you. And that's why a blog is brilliant, because Hilary will have all these topics kind of expanded on her blog that you can read and sit down with a cup of tea.
I'm going to take some screenshots and stuff as well, so I'll just the blog will be hopefully easier to read, and I'm going to follow my own advice of what I should be. Actually, I didn't even say that for the structure. Include images.
Include images.
So I'll try and keep it the way we kind of discussed it, but the way I'd see today's session is it can be very technical. The first thing, if the only thing you do is set up Google Search Console, if you didn't have it set up, that would be amazing out of this session. Straight away, you have data that you never had before, and you'll actually see page experience coming up, and you'll see, even if you just say, oh, I heard about this Pagespeed insights, I'll just Google that and I'll run some of my pages through. You're identifying a problem, a potential problem, not just for Google, but for users as well. So like if your page speed is coming up very, very poor and you only tested it because you attended this session, your users aren't enjoying that experience either. So you definitely have something that you just need to sort out, and don't be overwhelmed by sorting it out, because they're all solvable. Anything to do with page speed is totally solvable. It just takes a bit of time and a bit of, you just need to, even what I said earlier about compressing your images, and that's something you could just do yourself. That's one thing you can do yourself with no technical knowledge at all. Run your image through an online image compressor, re-upload it, and check your page speed again, and you should see an improvement. Yes,
that's brilliant, Hilary. And I think it's really important, even Needle Sketches, thank you for bringing that up, because I know that all of this might seem Jesus, like, and what we tend to do then is go, I'll do that next week, and run away into our studios and do the thing that we really, really want. And really, it's taking the low-hanging fruit, even if it's one thing, like Hilary said, the Google console, set that up and just familiarize yourself with it. And it's and until it's normal for your eyeball to go, okay, now that makes sense. It's easier than I thought. Oh, I'm ready for the next step now. Okay, cool. I'll go on to the next step and take things
Yeah.
step by step. Isn't that right, Hilary?
Totally. And it can be so satisfying as well, because once you
Yeah,
have Search Console set up, now when you write a blog, you can be checking that to see, oh, did Google index my new blog yet? Oh, how's my new
yeah,
blog doing? Like, how many clicks is it getting?
yeah,
How is it doing in search? Like, you know, and
yeah,
it's rather than looking at it as something like, oh God, maybe I don't even want to set that up now and I'll see all my bad results and I don't even know how to fix them, right?
yeah,
But like,
yeah,
you're probably already putting effort into your website, but you don't really know, is the effort paying off in organic Google search results
yeah.
or not? And that can be the amount of traffic that comes through. I even have a client, we were just looking at their stats, and even if like, so let's say they had, I think it was like 4.1K um clicks in 2 months or something like that
Hmm.
for Google organic. We looked at the social traffic that came in for the same amount of time.
Hmm.
And even if you added them all together, it was like, you know, Facebook, Instagram, whatever,
Hmm.
it might have been like 300
You see?
visits.
You see, this is my, I'm banging the drum about this all the time.
Yeah,
Everyone thinks social media, social media. Yes, it's really important. We're doing this on it. It's so brilliant, but it's
yeah.
not the only thing. And we have to look widely at our opportunities. And Google is so powerful,
It's
isn't it, Hillary?
it could be
Like,
transformative
yeah,
actually for your business,
of
because you're
getting
talking about
found.
traffic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I think as well, Tara, I was thinking about this session today and I was like, God, there's probably a lot of people now in her community that got the grant and whatever,
yeah,
and they've maybe built websites last year. The web
yeah,
development company or whoever has kind of signed off, which is what they tend to do. I don't mean
yeah,
to be, you know, there's some great web development companies,
yeah,
but they feel their job is done. They're not SEOs, right? And that's fair
yeah,
enough. So they feel like, okay, we built her the website, there she goes, and they
yeah,
just kind of leave you to your own devices then.
yeah,
And I was thinking, like, isn't it awful that you're kind of left at the website and okay, you can send, they're probably very good at social media and they're
yeah,
sending that little bit, but I'm like, it's the tiny amount of traffic that typically, now it depends on your business, you
yeah.
might get from social media versus you don't even know what you might get
You
from
don't
organic
know.
Google.
That's the key.
It
You
could be
don't know.
thousands and thousands, and the
Yeah.
more visits that you get, it will correlate to more sales.
Sales. That's right.
Unless
The
there's a
numbers
major
game.
issue that literally your checkout doesn't work. Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. In that scenario, it won't.
Yeah.
But generally, the more eyeballs that you're getting in,
Yeah.
the more sales you're going to make.
That's right.
And
That's
that's what
right.
a website is all about. That's the point of having the website.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I could talk to you all day, girl. I know. I just
Uh,
feel, and the more we talk about it, though, Hilary, it's just
yeah.
making people aware of it, like, isn't it? And on all elements of running a business, like on what you do, on what I do is business strategy and your offers and
Mm.
what you're talking about, not just on social media, on the website, on in your email, outside on the road. Like, what are you, you know, what is the thing? It's just so important to have that 360 viewpoint always, right?
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, Hilary, that you came on, and you're going to be in the biscuit factory with us after Christmas. So all the factory members, we've Hilary with us for a workshop. I'm so excited about that. So you'll be diving in, doing lots of hands-on stuff with us and screen sharing, no doubt, Hilary.
Yeah, I'd have to write an ebook
So
now over Christmas because I want to give them something, Tara. So I could be busy now tippity tapping on Christmas Day there on my little laptop.
you will, girl, no doubt. You always come up trumps, Hilary, girl. You always do. Thanks so much.
No
And
worries.
we look forward to that. And so, gang, if you want, head over to Hilary's profile on Instagram and Proximo Web Design, and she'll be dropping her blog at some point today with all of what we talked about, and no doubt there'll be downloadables and good stuff in there. Hilary's
I'll have
on
all
the
the links.
ball.
I'll put the links to the Pagespeed Insights tester. There'll be a link to Google Search Console just to get that set up. And if you did nothing else, just consider setting up Search Console because
Yeah,
that's the one that'll let you know what's going on.
amazing.
Yeah.
Hilary, you're a star, girl. Thank you
Thanks,
so,
Tara.
so much.
Twinsies forever.
I'll be on to you, I'm telling you. I'll be on to you soon. And say hi to old Cork for me there and enjoy your weekend.
I will. Cork misses you, Tara.
All right. See ya. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you next Friday on the Friday Takeaway at 12:30. Have a great weekend. Keep creative and good luck today with the sales gang. Mind yourselves. Bye.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.